Hello, welcome to the Geckoverse. My name is Josh, and this is Crestie Conversations. So, last week we went over what crested geckos are and how to do basic care for crested geckos. How is everyone doing tonight? Can anyone hear me, see me? I'm doing all right. Just want to make sure we are doing well tonight. Let me go over to the comments real quick. Perfect. All right, so last week we went over basic care, and this week I wanted to go over enclosures for crested geckos. I wanted to, hey, Northern Herper, welcome back. Good to see you. So tonight I'm going to be going over the tanks and what made me use them and how I actually make the tanks. So without further ado, let's get into it, okay? So why did I choose to use these tanks? Originally, the tanks to me were a really good idea. I used the regular glass tanks, but I found that these tubs that I find at Walmart, I get all of my tubs at Walmart, okay? All the ones you see here. For the largest one, it's $10, $8 for the tank. So that's a lot better than. Uh-oh, I froze. I don't know why it's already happening. Anyways, come on now. Don't be doing this already. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. I apologize. Not sure. Okay, there we go. I'm back on. Apologize about that, guys. Thank you for staying with me. So, it was a more cost efficient way, and my biggest nemesis are suction cups. I hate using suction cups with a passion. Um, they never work for me, and plus, having 40 geckos now, that would be a lot of suction cups to keep putting back up because they would fall off every single day. So, my biggest friend are zip ties. Almost everything that you see that I put in here is secured with zip ties. So it's a very easy way to just cut everything out and uh, make it easy cleanup, easy to put back in. So with that also being said, it's also a lot easier to move the tanks around. If you're moving places, have to move the geckos for whatever reason, put the geckos in a smaller tank, like we talked about last time. But the tanks are a lot lighter and easier to carry around than a full bioactive tank. So I don't have my geckos in bioactives either. I prefer to use paper towels for better cleanup. Uh, Other than that, I do have stuff on the ground that you will see, but I do prefer the paper towel method, easier to clean up, get to everything. Um, yeah, I will say it's just more cost effective for that way, and this provides a ton of space or the appropriate amount of space for each gecko, and for each gecko in their stages of life, and we'll be going over that in a little bit. And so, going into the tanks themselves. I told you I got them from Walmart, okay? And everything else, I'm pretty much getting from the dollar store. So I can make a tank, the large tank, I make it for, I think, maybe $20 max with everything I am. I have pool noodles, okay, for the branches. I have cups that I use for hides. If you remember me saying last time, crested geckos need at least 3 to 5 hides, and I'll be showing you how I do that. I get these little pencil holders as well from the dollar store. They sell them 3 for $1, so you can knock out 2 tanks for $1, 1 tank for $1, and get multiple, and you're good to go. So you've gotten the tub home, okay? Let me empty that for now. You've gotten the tub home. What do you do now? How do you make it into a crested gecko enclosure? What you do? You take your tub, okay? And your handy dandy soldering iron, okay? okay? Because the geckos need ventilation and ways for the humidity and the water to escape, or the perspiration, everything. Um, so you get it, and you're just going to be poking a bunch of holes in it. Now, when I say a bunch, it's up to you really, but a good guideline for me is for the small ones, I go 3 across, 4 down, okay? And then around the entire top of the container, all the way around the sides. And then I'm also taking the soldering iron and cutting a hole through the plastic and putting the vents in. Now here, I forgot where I got these vents here, but all of the white ones that you see on my tanks, I got from roundvent.com. There's just the ones that I've been using. They work well. The big ones here are 4-inch white circles, white round vents is what they call them. All right. And so once you have all of your holes in them, okay, you're going to start putting stuff in there. So for babies, you are always going to start with a paper towel, okay? Those are you're going to be a very big friend. Paper towel. All right? And they also need some space on the ground to be moving or to have like little ground coverage. Oh, I forgot to say, this is the 7-quart tub, okay? If you have a 7-quart tub, egg crate is also going to be your best friend. You know, put it in there just like that, okay? Next, so you don't forget, you have the water cup, okay? I just use little plastic caps for my babies. They all have little like water bottle caps, Coke caps, whatever. Put that in there. And then a little feeding dish. This is a little silicone dish I got off of Amazon. You can get a pack of them for $10, something like that. Okay? And then you're going to take one of them, or a leaf that I have here, fern, also from Dollar Store. All of the foliage that I get is from the Dollar Store. If you're going Walmart, anywhere else, Hobby Lobby, you're paying too much for it. You can get so much for just a couple dollars. And you're going to take a pool noodle, okay? And how can you turn this into a hide? Well, you're just going to cut it in half, okay? Make it like a little bridge, per se. All right? Now, you have a little half, okay? And when they're babies, just hatchlings, you can just leave it like that. But I also will go in when they get a little bit bigger, like around 5 grams or so, and tear out a little bit of this to make it taller and give them a little bit more space. But for when they're hatchlings, it's completely fine. Just as a reminder, for your babies, your hatchlings, you're going to have them in here from hatch, which should be around like 1.8 to 2.3 grams at most. I haven't seen much over 2.3. But so you're going to have from hatchling up until 15 grams. It's going to look like it's cramped in there for them, but trust me, they need the time and space to grow into it. If you put them in the 12 by 12 too early, it can give them too much space. There is a such thing as too much space. Okay, it could stunt their growth. So you're going to make sure you're going to periodically upgrade them. I went over last time. I'll go over again. So for babies, 1 to 15 grams, they're going to be in this type of tank here, okay? Now, you're going to want to add some more foliage to it, of course. So you're going to take your tub, another one here. You'll just measure across and shove it right in, okay? What I like to do, I have these big leaves. I will stick that in the end, so it's facing out. I will face one of these. Okay, this just comes from these here. All of this for $1.25 now. Okay, so you get all of these. I just cut them off. And before you do any of this, I apologize. You're going to clean this. Okay, I should have said that in the first place. I don't know where my mind is at, but of course, you clean your tanks. I use a veterinary disinfectant. It's called F10. There's also several others out there on the market. Another one I use is Rescue. Okay, those are both ready to use veterinary disinfectants that I use to clean all of my tanks. It gets all the smell out of there, all the germs, all the bad things right out of there. Okay, so you're going to use that after. You can do it before or after, but I also, when I get a large sum or when I'm cleaning tanks, I will go and draw my bath full of hot water and mix in distilled white vinegar. Okay, and I'll just pour it in there a little bit. Bottoms up. You want it to be clean. Don't use like half the bottle, of course. That's just wasting money. But have it in there, and I usually let it sit for at least an hour to let it clean everything up. After that, I let it dry, sit in the tub for a little bit, dry out, and then I'll take the F10 and the paper towels and clean everything. Do that before you make put the gecko in the tank. Okay, there you go. And then do it when you're cleaning the tanks as well. I clean my tanks every week. So back to the fern. You're going to stick that in the end as well, so you have two of them right there. And then I take another one here and I stick it along the top, kind of towards the end, so that it lays over, so it gives them a little coverage from above. All right, and so that is how a baby bin looks like from Georgia Cresties. Okay, awesome, right? Well, let's do more. All right, we are moving on to the medium-sized bin. Okay, this is equivalent to a 12 by 12, and you are going to be putting your babies from 16 grams up to 25 grams. Okay, that's the type of geckos that are going to be going into this enclosure. I also like to put these standing up as well as the big ones here, because when you have it like this, when you have it just normal standing up and you're going to clean or get the geckos, echo with the gecko, you reach in there, if you've just missed it or whatever, or for the advanced ones out there, when a gecko has recently pooped on one of their branches, foliage or whatever, and you go in there and you don't see it because it's hidden by other leaves, you get a little poop smear on your hand, and that is not great. You get used to it, but yeah, first couple times it gets you. So you can also wear gloves. That's also a great recommendation. Get gloves, non-powder latex gloves. Also, reaching down all the way in there trying to clean everything isn't great for me. So I stand them up like this. That way I'm just doing, there we go. Just doing this here. I'm not even reaching in as far. I mean, it's the same length, I guess, okay, if you want to be technical about it. But to me, it's a lot easier just to clean this part, reaching in from right here, than doing it like this. And getting everything out seems to be a lot easier for me as well. I do know they stack better like this, but again, I'm not in it for what's best for me. I'm doing what's best for the geckos. That gives them another inch or so of space, another inch of vertical room of climbing, and is better for them. So that's why I do that. For that, like I said, you're also going to need pool noodles, okay? Cup, it comes in a quantity of 3, like I said, and zip ties, of course. I've actually used most of my zip ties. I need to buy some more. But the good thing is, I'm not getting another gecko right now. So, I say that. I'll probably buy one soon. If you have any charcoals or very dark phantoms with no spots, send me a message. I'm looking for one. Anyways, I don't need to spend money. I went ahead and tied things up here. So you can see, for all of the ventilation, I went and cut a hole in the very middle and put the vent in, and then I went around and burned a few holes into the top. I actually didn't for this one. I have another one that I did, but just pretend there's holes in here. There should be. I just didn't get to this one yet. Alright, there's holes around the sides, okay? Holes all around the sides, and I mentioned earlier that we use a soldering iron. I got this bad boy, Harbor Freight. Mine, I actually broke mine when I was trying to build these, so I went to Harbor Freight on Saturday, and it was $6. It just gets really, really hot, and I just simply go in, punch it, and then come back out. Sometimes it'll leave strings of like plastic. Whenever I'm done, I go through and pick it all off. So, very great tool, very useful. I use it for every tank that I have. So for spacing and everything, you can see that I have some stuff in there already. I went ahead and made some things in there. Yes, I used the soldering iron, Northern Harper. So I went ahead and that cup that I had, I put it in the top here. So when I'm going and making the holes for my tank, making all the ventilation holes, I, just like I said for the little one, I go 4 across, 4 down here, and I put a couple in the middle. I'm also going ahead and putting holes in there to hang stuff by. You can see right here where I've put extra holes in. Boop. Just so I could go in and hang them up by the zip ties. So for your cups and everything that you're hanging up, you are going to be taking the soldering iron again, and you're going to have 2 holes on each side, okay? One to go in and then one to go out. And you're going to have that on the other side as well. So you're going to have 2 sets of that so that the zip ties are holding it up there and keeping it in place. And then you'll just feed it through one hole on top here, as you can see. It goes in there, and then it'll hold it in there, and whoop, it's secure. I would say you can use a drill, but it takes longer. I started out with like my first tank using a drill, and it cracked the plastic as well. That just means, depending on how far you crack it, really, if it is good to use or not. With the soldering iron, I like it if when I'm pushing the vent in, if I didn't make it quite big enough, and I'm just trying to push it in, sometimes it'll crack around the edge. But it's completely okay with the soldering iron because you can just take it around the edge. What I do for all of mine is I go and I melt the plastic around it, and then I fuse it or lay it on top of the plastic vent so that the vent doesn't go anywhere. It's stuck in there. The geckos I've never had a gecko escape from any of my tanks, unless I just went and accidentally left one open. Again, with these, they don't push it open. So one time I've left it unlatched up top before, and the gecko did not escape. It just held it there. But I walked in the next morning, I was like, oh crap, I messed up. So the tubs are also safer because I know when you use the glass tanks, if it's not completely latched, that they can push it open a little bit. This way, because they're having to push it open like that instead of a door, they have to push it down. It's a lot harder for them, and they don't weigh that much for it. So, like I said, you just pretty much weld it to it, and so you get all of it pushed to. This gets very hot. You're melting plastic. Please be careful. If you are under the age of 18, for safety reasons, if you're under the age of 18, get the help from a parent or guardian to help you do that so you don't get any burns or boo-boos. I don't want to hear from your legal parentees about how I told you to use a soldering iron to hurt yourself. I did not. So you have that fused to it. And for these little pencil holders that I got, I did the exact same thing. I did 2 holes on each side. For here, I did top and side, and then top and side as well. And I also am creating some holes at the very back. I'm poking some holes. So if you spray too much water, or if your gecko is in there and peeing or pooping, it's not making enough for the poop to go out, but it's enough for, you can see here, I put 3 holes in the very bottom on the back side. So right here is the top, where it's going to be in the top of the tank. And then on the very opposite side, on the bottom, I put 3 holes so that any pee or anything, so they're not sitting in the pee, or if you don't see it like right away, so it can have a place to drain. I do that for these as well. It's nice to have a little drain, so a little peace of mind that they're not sitting in the pee. We don't want anyone to do that. That is not healthy. All right, and then also I had the pool noodles that I cut to size, and it's really up to you. That's what I like using the tanks for, is because you get to customize it any way you want. Even though I have a basic blueprint of where I put stuff, it's not in the same place all the time. So what I do when I'm putting the holes on the side with the soldering iron, I do the 4 across, 4 down, 4 across, up, of course. And then I'm also poking additional ones where I may want to hang something like a branch, pool noodle. And so that's how, when I put it in there, you can see it holds up. I also go based off spatial reasoning for the geckos as well. I know that they can climb up the tanks, up the walls. That's what makes them cool. One of the things. But I don't want it too far up from the bottom here. I don't want it too far up so that they can't reach it at all. And I don't want too much space in between them. So you see here, for the medium juveniles from 15 or 16 to 25 grams, I put 3 pool noodles in. Okay? Pool noodles are great. And then I'm going in and using the dollar store stuff to go in and fill all of that area. You go in. I like to take the leaves first because they cover up the most distance, or most area, if you will. Oh, this is the one I ran out. So if it falls, just bear with me. But, so you see, I'm just going in here and adding foliage all over. The less that you see them, the happier they will be. Okay? I typically don't like to get a lot of flowers for them. I know it's pretty and it looks great, but the fake flowers, they like to, not like to, I don't know if they may, but they pee on the flowers a lot. And from the water that you're putting on, even though you're putting good, clean water on them, they do mold a little faster. So if you're not going to constantly be cleaning these really, really well, I wouldn't use them. This one, the 2 that I have here are new, and I did soak them for a while. So I usually put those in the corners, kind of as a little filler. Okay? So how do you attach the zip ties to the noodle and then to the tub? Perfect question. Let me show you. Let me get my zip ties and this. So for here, I'm not going to put it in any specific place. You're going to have this, okay? Pool noodle. So you want to put it right here up front. I don't suggest putting the ones up front first, because then you're going to be fighting around it to put everything in, okay? So go ahead. You want to make sure when you're doing it, you have it, the one farthest back, the one farthest down go first, and then do that one and that one. If you want to be even better, no. You put the one in the back, and then you start adding foliage to that one and see how that looks. Or not see how that looks, but put the foliage in, and then you put the next pool noodle in above that. So if you can wedge them in there, but the geckos tend to jump around a lot, and they will probably knock them down. So you take the zip tie here, you go to the hole. I'm not sure if you can see, the hole is right here. I'm going to come around the side so I can do it better. Fish the zip tie in the hole, okay? Then you go around. You're going to stab the pool noodle at the very end. Okay? Give it a little bit of room so it is not just going to rip out immediately if they jump on it. Let's see if you can see. There. So I've put it inside of the pool noodle now. And then you're just going to feed it through the hole in the pool noodle, okay? So feed it through the hole and get it to come back out the other side. And then pull it through. So now I have the other end of the zip tie in my hand. And I'm going to fish that back through the same hole that I had it come through. So you have the large side of the zip tie here. You have both ends of the zip tie outside, and you're going to feed it through. I don't zip tie it all the way. I just do a little latch like that. So then when I go to the other side, and I have it here, say I want to put it here. That's another thing that's cool. You can adjust the angles for it. It doesn't always have to be flat. So they don't have to be perfectly flat. You can have them at an angle down, at an angle up, whatever your heart contends. Be creative with it, and you will do the exact same thing where you're feeding the zip tie through. Okay, make sure that it's level all the way through. You don't get it twisted because the zip ties don't like to work then. You'll feed it through. All right, let me turn it. You will go down through. I usually go probably a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch into the pool noodle, just so it has a little something to grip onto. We all like to have a little something to grip onto. Amens in the chat. It doesn't want to work with me. Okay, sometimes it's tricky. So I have fed it through now, and I've pulled it back out of the hole in the pool noodle, and I will go back through the same hole that was originally in. So same hole it was originally in, and zip tie it. And then here, sometimes you don't get it perfectly flush with the other one. That's why I leave it a little loose. So that way I can adjust it once more and then fully tighten the zip ties. Okay? So I do suggest that you put in, you can do it either way. The way I found it easier is by putting in your top hides, little cup, in first, and then put them in, and then get the pool noodles in, because I also like to give them a little step here. You see, I put the pool noodle right in front of, not right in front of, I give a little gap to where they can walk in and out of the cup, so they're not having to climb, bunch, jump. They do like to jump, they can, but this is just the easier way to get here. I like to make sure that they have easier transfers to where that they can just walk over to it, or they can jump, which they like to do. So you see I have 1, the cup, 2, the pencil holder here, and then 3, I have this here, okay? It's a little Halloween bin. I did the same thing, feeding the zip ties through the holes, through the first one, out the other one, and then back through the same hole that you originally put the zip tie through. So you can put these ferns into the pool noodles. That is an option. It is a lot harder to push through though. So I typically leave these for the bottom. Another thing I like to put on the bottom, of course, is egg crates. So for my medium and large size geckos, I typically give them three eggs worth on each side, just so it's not taking up the entirety of it, so that they have room to move around. But I do this and put it in on the bottom. Hey, what's up, Jake? Hey, good to see you, man. For y'all that don't know, Jake right here, Kel's TV, is the dude that got me into reptiles. So welcome in. We're just learning about enclosures and how to properly make one for your crested gecko. So again, we're going to go in and keep adding foliage. Just any blank spaces that you see, not any blank spaces, but most, you're just going to go in and start putting stuff just wherever you want. No particular order. You just want to fill out the space. I do suggest putting it on top, on the sides, and the bottom of the pool noodles, just so you're getting coverage from all sides around. Okay? Go through, add those in. Just a few more. Okay, and then also you can see here, I also like to use, I ran out of ones for here, I have them for my big demonstration. Put it along the front here at an angle or kind of down so that they can also use it as a little way to climb up if they want to, if they're feeling lazy. Some days we have lazy days, to attach it that way. Okay, so we'll put that in there. Put the water bowl and food bowl in there. Again, your little ground cover. I have these as well. And that is how you make a medium-sized crested gecko tank for your babies between 16 and 25 grams. Does anyone have any questions as to from this far? If not, I will go ahead and do the demonstration on the large tank. I know we're at 32 minutes. I appreciate you sticking with me, but we're almost there. Let's get through it. There is something different that you have to do for the crested gecko, or for the large adult crested geckos. If you have a female crested gecko, okay, you're going to be putting your crested geckos in here from the weight. It's not really by age. It's by weight. You're going to be putting them in here from 26 grams up, okay? So after your gecko hits 26 grams, they're ready for this. This is a 66 quart tub, okay? All of my geckos go in here. It pretty much equates out to the 18 by 18 by 24. And it's just real simple. You can see I have the 3, 1 right here, 2. This one is actually a little coconut that I got. It's really cool. Again, dollar store. And I have, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little pot, like a little flower pot right there that I used as well. Again, I'm just putting, when I get both of them, I'm just getting and soldering 2 holes on each side on the top, and then I'm putting the little drain holes on the bottom so to get any liquids out. Like I mentioned, for females, you're going to need to have, let me put it right there, you're going to need to have one of these. This is a lay box. Again, it looks just like Tupperware, but in the crested gecko world, it's a lay box, okay? You're going to take that, and then I'm almost out here because I have a bunch of females. I'm going to take sphagnum moss, okay? I use sphagnum moss to get off Amazon, like you do everything online, and it is, I'll show you a little chunk here. Let me move and get stuff closer. It comes out a little brick like this. The entire thing is a brick. You just put it in. And you spray water on it. Again, make sure it's clean water that you're doing. I always use filtered filtered water just to have more pure water for them. I don't use tap water. Do not use cold water either. Please use room temperature water, not hot water, okay? Cold water, and when they are drinking cold water out of the water bowl that you gave them, it could cause them to be too cold, cause them to aspirate and die. That is not a good thing. Crested geckos need to stay between 68 and 78 degrees, right around that area. If you're giving them refrigerator cold water, 37 degrees, that's too much for them, and their internal organs, not good. Always use room temperature water. So you'll just soak that, and it expands all the way in. And I don't go all the way up, so it leaves them some space to climb in and out. They like to kick out a lot of the sphagnum moss, when I use the lids and I solder a hole into the um, lid for the Tupperware, it usually is keeps it too moist. Okay, so it keeps it too wet and damp, and it causes it to mold, causes the sphagnum moss to mold. So you will I keep it open. Yes, you're going to be cleaning the sphagnum moss out when the geckos lay or when she lays, which if you're breeding her, it will be every 30 to 45 days. If you're not breeding her, if you just have a crested gecko lady that you have as a pet, every maybe once or twice every season after she's 2 years old, she may lay eggs. Okay, if you don't want the possibility of children or babies, because crested gecko females can produce parthogenic eggs, partho eggs, which is a direct copy of them. The majority of the time, they do not survive, but sometimes they do. And if you don't want that chance, you're going to just, I'll get into a breeding episode, but you're going to just provide the lay box still. They still need it, okay? They need a moist place to be. And you're going to provide that for her when she lays eggs. If you don't want the possibility of babies, you will go ahead and put them in a Ziploc bag and freeze them for 1 to 2 days. And then just put them in the trash. Do whatever. You're good. They're no longer viable. You're good. The design is easily transferable for gargoyles and chihuahuas too. That is awesome to know, Northern Harper. So if you have chihuahuas and gargoyles, which gargoyles are very similar in care, they're pretty much the same. They come from New Caledonia as well. I'm not too familiar with Chihuahua. I apologize, Northern Harper. I'm not too familiar with their care, but Northern Harper here is saying that this would work great for them as well. So, a design for all types of crested geckos, or reptiles, all types of geckos. So, you have the basic design. I'm going to leave that in there. And for the females as well, I do leave the same amount of egg crate just because I don't want them to feel left out, okay? So the same right there, and just put it in the bottom. And also for the adults, I use these little half-ounce cups, okay? There's nothing different about them, anything. One's for food, one's for water, okay? There we go. For baby and juvie chihuahuas. Okay, cool. I guess, yeah, chihuahuas get a lot larger than crested geckos and gargoyle geckos. They would need a larger one than this for being adults. But for crested geckos, my largest one is, I think, 72 grams. Generally, a crested gecko is considered full size at 45 grams. I typically like to, I'll get into that later with breeding. So we have all of this set up. I have placed the pool noodles accordingly. Again, you can see, maybe, it's pretty close. The pool noodle is close to the cup, making it easier for them just to climb in and out of if they need to. Now, for the 72 gram, I know you're going to say, oh, that's a very big gecko. You are right. So what I do in that case, besides giving them slightly less food, which just instead of putting it 3/4 full, I put like half full, okay? And I remove one of the pool noodles, okay? It wouldn't be this one. I don't know which one it would be, but I would remove one of the pool noodles. For adults, I use 4 pool noodles. I would remove one of them just to make them have to walk around, climb more, get them to have more exercise. And so with the combination of feeding them a little less and just like humans, feed them a little less, get them a little bit more exercise, and they're good to go, right? Look at me. I'm not the one to tell you about exercise, but I can for geckos. Let me get my supplies again. So again, I'm going to use the big leaves. I go in, use them first to cover up space, and I like to put them to where they kind of cover a little bit of the noodle and then just hang out a little bit so that the gecko can hide behind them as well. Just because it's not a cup or something like that doesn't mean it's not a hide. A hide is just something that obscures the gecko's vision from prey, anything outsidely, or to hide them from prey. So this would actually be considered, you could consider another hide because it's obscuring the front view. This is also another hide as well because they can go in it or under it, on top of it, use it to climb around. Mine like to push them around the entire time. I'll come in after cleaning them and they'll be pushed all the way against the front. I just push them back. So we're going to continue to go and add foliage all around. Add a little color in there. You can do that as well. Remember to space it out. You don't have to have everything crammed in there. And I also will take some of these and take it off. Just pull it straight off like that and use it to put in the hide to give them something to have comfort laying with or whatever. Put it up in the top cup so you can see it's just something for them to hide under, have, snuggle with, whatever you want to call it, right? So we're going to quickly, again, sorry, I ran out of zip ties. I will be on Amazon later ordering more of those. So you're just putting all of those in, possibly. And like I said, just have fun with it. That's what I like about these. There's no guide to it. You can make it your own. You're not contained to just using where the suction cups can go. I like to use, a lot of the times in glass tanks, you cannot use all of the vertical space. That's why I like using this, because I have stuff, get that out of here. I have stuff all the way up, so they can literally be chilling in the very top of the tank or all the way at the very bottom. So I like using that because, again, with zip ties, you can place it anywhere and give them so much more space to climb. You don't have to have just one main branch or whatever in the middle for them to sleep on and go around. You can add more vertical space. I know Pangea has those branches as well. I forgot what they're made out of, but they're like the square branches. You can do that. This one's $1, okay? I typically use one pool noodle and then like a third of another one for this. So very cost effective and easy to do. Oops. Okay. So again, I have more and more. All right, just plug and play. While I'm doing this, I might as well go ahead and wrap up a little bit as well. I'm going to throw the ferns in the bottom with that. And typically, I would add a little bit more. But again, you don't want to overcrowd them. You want to give them space to hide in, to go around, but you don't want to block everywhere for them to go around. Okay? So that is how you make an adult crested gecko tank. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns on what you need to do for your crested gecko tank? Another thing you need, so you don't have all of the zip tie strings just flailing around and stuff, I get one of these bad boys, okay, a little pair of pliers, little snips, and I will go along the edge and cut straight off. You can see right there. Just cut it straight off at the base, and not at an angle, straight off, so that you're not cutting yourself or anything when you're going to clean the tanks. That way you have a clean, uniform design on every way that you look at it. You don't have the little ends of the zip ties going everywhere. So I think it's a very neat way to do it. It's a creative way to make a build for your crested gecko in a cost-effective way. Again, here you can see basically all the way finished. I may add a couple more pieces of foliage, like in the back over here or facing over here, but I'm not going to do that right now. One day, maybe I'll have a live where you could just say, "Oh, let me see that tank," and I would go show you that tank, be like, "This is the state of it, how it looks." So yeah, maybe I will do that one day if y'all are interested. But thank you, Neo Wolf. I appreciate that. Um, if no one else has any other questions, next time on the Crestie Conversations podcast, we're going to be having our first guest. Okay, we're going to be having on Killer Exotics. My good friend John. He breeds gargoyle geckos, leek cheese, and crested geckos. We're going to be talking about morphs together. John has, if you haven't met him, he is in Georgia as well with me. He's a great guy. He knows a ton about crested geckos, a lot about reptiles, and we're going to be talking about morphs. He has a lot of cool morphs to go over there. We're going to be seeing what he does over there at his operation, and we will be going over what kind of morphs that we have here at Georgia Cresties. Okay? Yeah, thank you so much, Northern Harper. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in with me. Next time, it will be on the 22nd, April 22nd. I will be live at 9 p.m., and we will be talking about morphs. So, thank you all for being here, and don't forget to keep it crusty, bestie. Okay? Have a good night, y'all.